In early January 1935, a young man checked into the President Hotel in Kansas City and requested an interior room. He signed the register using a pseudonym, Roland T. Owen. He arrived with 0 luggage. Staff observed a cauliflower ear, a heavy build, and a prominent, hairless scar across the side of his head, features consistent with a professional wrestler or boxer. Inside room 1046, Owen created a suffocatingly dark environment. He kept the blinds drawn tight and sat in the shadows, using only a single dim lamp. He insisted the maid leave the door unlocked at all times. Staff overheard several unsettling interactions over the next 2 days. Owen was heard on the phone refusing food from someone named Dawn, and later a rough, unidentified voice from inside the dark room turned away a maid attempting to deliver fresh towels. Owen's behavior suggested he wasn't a guest at all, but a target waiting for a violent confrontation in the dark. On the morning of January 4th, the hotel switchboard noticed the telephone in 1046 had been left off the hook. A bellboy investigated, found the door locked from the outside, and used a passkey to enter. Owen was found on his knees and elbows, bound at his wrists, ankles, and neck with cord. He had been repeatedly stabbed and suffered a fractured skull. Blood was spattered across the walls, the ceiling, and the bedsheets. A doctor arrived and cut the cords, but Owen refused to name his attacker. When asked who tortured him, he answered, "Nobody," and claimed his injuries came from falling against the bathtub. He slipped into a fatal coma moments later. He died at the hospital as a John Doe. Investigators faced a brutal vacuum, a body with no name, a locked room mystery with no weapon, and a killer who had disappeared entirely. As the city prepared to bury the unidentified victim in a pauper's grave, an anonymous caller intervened. He told the funeral home the murder was revenge for a broken engagement and demanded a proper burial. The anonymous man sent cash wrapped in newspaper to fund the burial at a local cemetery. This proved the perpetrator or an accomplice was closely following the police investigation in real time. A local florist delivered 13 American Beauty roses to the gravesite. The arrangement included a card with disguised handwriting reading, "Love Forever, Louise." The arrival of the roses turned the killing into a psychological game. The perpetrator followed the extreme violence of the crime with a theatrical, romantic performance. In late 1936, nearly 2 years after the murder, Ruby Ogletree in Alabama recognized a magazine photo of the unidentified man. She identified him as her 17-year-old son, Artemis, confirmed by a childhood grease burn scar. Identifying Artemis revealed a disturbing reality. Ruby received letters from her son months after his death in room 1046. The letters were typewritten, a skill Artemis lacked, using unfamiliar slang. They placed him in Chicago, then New York, claiming he was sailing for Europe. In August 1935, a man calling himself Godfrey Jordan phoned Ruby and claimed Artemis was married and living in Cairo, Egypt. He explained his inability to call by claiming Artemis had lost a thumb in a fight. The perpetrator spent months puppeteering Artemis's identity across the country, maintaining a sadistic facade of life long after the victim was in the ground. The mystery resurfaced in the early 2000s when a local Kansas City librarian received a phone call from an out-of-state stranger. The caller was clearing out an estate and found a shoebox filled with 1935 newspaper clippings regarding the room 1046 murder. According to the caller, the box also contained a specific physical item mentioned in the original investigation. They refused to identify the object or the owner of the box before hanging up. While investigators once pursued a man named Donald Kelso, whose handwriting matched the letters, no one was ever charged. The identity of the person who kept that shoebox for decades remains unknown. The 13 red roses and the year-long trail of forged letters point to a meticulous, theatrical erasure of a human being. The predator in room 1046 successfully hijacked the truth itself.